chill out with all that while this intro is happening. Yo, we're live. Are we live?
We're live.
What is up? I am me. They are them. These are my friends, okay?
He's stealing my intro.
I stole your intro. I stole it. We are Spittin Sports. Is that what we are? Are we Spittin Sports?
I think so. We'll see.
Sure. For now, okay? For now. That's who we are. I am me. We are the Spittin Sports. What's good, fellas?
What's poppin', brother? How we doing?
Chilling.
Oh, yeah, chilling.
Always
Big chilling. Talking hoops today, though. Let's roll. Let's just no intro necessary. Okay. This is it. They know who we are.
Jesus, got my thighs out, dude. Got my
Ghost
thighs out.
Skies out. Thighs out.
Cover these things, bro. Lord, glow stick over here.
We're gonna have to PG or make this one rated PG for the YouTube kids out there.
Lord.
All right, pretenders, contenders, in the NBA. What you got, H?
So I did a list on my podcast. I'm gonna look down at my whiteboard to make sure I have everything. I did 10 teams, okay, and going into it, yeah, 5 of each. And there's statistical components, but really the main thing is your roster construction. This is what I really look at. Like, do you have versatile defenders? Do you have good guard play? That's really essential in the playoffs. But I'm not going to get too deep into it, but the stats that I really look at are defensive rating, offensive efficiency, and can you shoot the 3-ball well, honestly. So my contenders, the list is Milwaukee, Phoenix, the Grizzlies, the Heat, and the Warriors. And then on my pretenders list, I got Utah, Brooklyn, Chicago, Dallas, and then with a huge asterisk because we don't have a big enough sample size is Philly. Because they just don't have a big enough. I can't go off a 3-game sample size against the T-Wolves and 2 games against the Knicks, which I think is fair. So
that's fair. Hey, real quick though, we also.
But what also is fair?
I don't really like the whole thing that everybody's been doing with the T-Wolves though. It's like one day you log on, the T-Wolves are they're up and coming. Like they're 5 games over 500. They're 1 game back on the Nuggets for the.
I think they're good. By the way,
they're a couple games back. Yeah, so do I. But then it's like, oh, Philly beat the T-Wolves. They're shit. Like, let's just discard them. It's not. And I get it. Like, this is gonna be one of those things for Philly in particular, where the second we lose to a team who's considered a real team, it's going to be like, see, I told you. I just knew. Honestly, if I'm picking games, we have Cleveland on Friday and Miami on Saturday. Like, we're probably going to lose to the Heat on Saturday. Off a back-to-back, that's already a tough game if you're both going into it with equal rest. On a back-to-back, the Heat are probably going to win that game. It feels like a schedule loss. And everybody's going to come. I know they're going to come out of the woodwork, especially with Philly sitting in the 2-hole right now. And you guys has the 1. Oh, they can't be cream of the crop. They are who we thought they were. They're hovering around the middle, yada, yada. So I know that whole narrative is going to come. But I agree with all your contenders personally. Read off who'd you have pretended? Dallas, Utah,
Brooklyn.
Philly, more sample size, Brooklyn.
And Chicago.
I think Brooklyn's a contender if they all get healthy.
So that one was one that I had a little asterisk on. But at the same time, you got a dude that just came back from injury. That averages 30.
At some point, bro, like y'all have to field a team.
I had to pick a side. Exactly. You have to pick a side on Brooklyn. That's just one of those teams you have to pick a side on. And I picked the pretender side.
I can see it.
Same thing with the MAVS too. Was this list written before or after we just beat the Warriors 2 out of the last 3 games?
This was 3-4 days before that, okay? And I would still hold that. I would still hold that same stance just based off the roster construction of that team. You can't. Yeah. And y'all, they're winning. They're winning big games against good teams because they have the best player on the floor
too, which is kind of weird.
So that's what I'm saying. It's like, how long is Luka going 1-on-5? And he does it in the playoffs. We saw against the Clippers. That were just a 40-point triple-double, basically.
His playoff numbers are nuts. If this man could play the Clippers every single series, the guy would end his career with 12 rings, 12 Finals MVPs.
For real.
He'd be breaking all sorts of shit. All
it's
of Will's
just one
shit
of those
would be in
things.
contention. He would
Yes.
break Bill Russell's championship record. Like, all that shit would be on the table if they could play the Clippers every damn round.
Yeah, and
Y'all
that's
saw
the
his
thing.
y'all saw his numbers stacked up with LeBron in like his first
I did.
whatever
I
it
saw
was.
that. I saw that.
Was it 220 games in their career or something like that?
Yeah,
that.
and that's what I'm
It
saying.
makes
It's
sense,
like,
bro. Like,
Yeah.
and I said 100 times, it's those record books with Luka being 22. I just turned 23, I believe.
turn 23.
Yeah, he's
like
23.
last week or something. The record book is in trouble with this guy. Like,
Yeah.
it's in big trouble. Like, he hasn't had any major injuries other than that ankle injury he actually suffered at the game I was at against the Heat. Terrible ankle injury. I was actually at that game. We got up by 30. Seth Curry and Tim Hardaway start going ballistic, and they came back, but we ended up winning that game in OT. And, I think that Luka is incredible, but the reason they're on the pretender list for me, and y'all may disagree, this reminds me of the AI 76ers in a sense. I know that's a wild comparison, but you're asking one guy to literally be your offense and tell the other four guys just to guard and shoot a wide open shot. I just can't see it working. I can't.
Right. I mean, I agree with that in the sense of thus far, like up until this point, it has been him shouldering too much of the load. But I'm seeing it. It's become. I've seen a little bit of a slight change. Like Jalen Brunson can go ISO and get you a bucket when Luka's off the floor. And
Brunson,
you know, I think 2 days, the first game or the second game at like post All-Star break, they were down 13, and they went on I think at one point it was a 23-1 run.
Yeah, it was a
with
crazy
Luka
run.
completely off the floor for the
Yeah,
entirety of that like 6-7 minute stretch. So like the confidence is certainly there, and then Spencer Dinwiddie, of course, kind of being at the forefront of that. That also makes, you know, that adds a dynamic to this team that wasn't there maybe at the time that you made this list before the KP trade went down. So I don't know, man. Like it's to a much lesser extent, given there's not the superstar element to the Mavs acquisition like it is for Philly when, you know, they're bringing in a top 3 to 5 player in the world. So that obviously
No doubt.
carries more weight. But this Mavs team, to me, I have hope now because of philosophically, like Jason Kidd took them from bottom 3 defense in the league to now top 3 defense in the league in like half a season almost. So they're grinding out good teams and winning. So I don't think they're championship contenders at all. I was just just kind of highlighting it's still this Mavs team. We don't know what they are yet.
Their transition's been kind of crazy, right? Because you look back just 2 years ago, I think, and they're setting like the all-time record for offensive efficiency in a season. I think that clip was around like 118 points per 100 possessions. And this is, I think, that year. What was it? I think it was 2 years ago, where everybody, I think 7 of the top 12 best offenses in NBA history all came from that season. Like everybody was going off. It was nuts. But Dallas is right out. I think Dallas might have finished 1. I think Brooklyn was on some crazy ass pace last year.
Yeah, they
Big
were.
Three were right.
Right. But the difference too, though, was they were on the opposite end of that spectrum defensively.
That's what I was getting at. It's wild to see the Mavs. I think I heard today. I listened to a little bit of Tim McMahon and Zach Lowe. Like the Mavs are 16th in offensive efficiency, which like if you were to do a blind resume, 16th in offensive, and Dallas is what? They got to be top 5 on defense. I would never guess that a team led by Luka Doncic, like those are going to be the splits. So it's been kind of crazy to me, and it's not like, I know Sands can touch on this too. It's not like they're doing it with a Drew Holiday, a Giannis, a Brook Lopez. Like they don't have a ton of freaky switchable defenders. They're not. Maxey is
Reggie
versatile.
Bullock and Dorian
Like
Finney-Smith are
Dorian
clamping
best-
people. Like
like
what's
Maxey
happening?
Kleber's, Maxey's a good defender, right? And
Yeah.
Finney-Smith he just got a new contract. He's developed into a legit 3-and-D guy. But if Dorian Finney-Smith is like my wing defender and he's guarding like the Paul Georges and the Kawhis and the LeBrons, he's better than Royce O'Neal, but it kind of gives me the same like okay, I'm gonna get mine. Like he's a little too wiry for me. Like, and don't get me wrong, those wing stoppers, they don't grow on trees. You can maybe count the guys on one hand who can actually make those dudes legit work.
Really do it.
Yeah, like make those
shut
guys
somebody
actually
down.
work. But it's weird that that's why it feels fluky to everyone. Although they have like a 60 game sample size, right? But it's like you're getting everyone to buy in, and it's more of a team defensive oriented scheme. They're kind of like Boston, but with far less
athletes
when you go down the line. Like when you go down the line with Boston, it makes sense that they're a good team defensively because they have Tatum and Brown and Marcus Smart and Derek White and Robert Williams protecting the rim. Like they can all switch. Robert Williams, switching onto
all those guys are 6'8" and are athletes.
And they're athletes. But like Dallas doesn't really have all that work. I think Maxi's an athlete, bro. Like he might be Dallas's best pure athlete.
The best.
Yeah, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, DFS is kind of up there too. But
I also think that shout out to Jason Kidd because I think it's them adjusting to Luka's pace as well. Like it seems as though they're kind of slowing it up as where Carlisle almost wanted and he's taken better shot selection and actually has sets. When you watch the Mavericks last year, it literally was like 5 out, Luka do everything, but also it is the Dinwiddie trade where you kind of saw it in that Warriors game with Luka off the floor.
He surprised me. Yeah.
With Luka off the floor, you saw that's flashes of old Dinwiddie. We see him kind of making plays for everybody, getting the offense flowing, things of that nature. And I thought it was pretty cool to see that with Dinwiddie because I always wanted the best for him because I always thought he was a underrated hooper. And I thought that if they had him, even without Kyrie and Harden, they win that Bucks trade because he tore his ACL or that Bucks series. Sorry,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
he's a baller.
If you told me Dallas was getting Brooklyn Spencer Dinwiddie, I'd be like, damn, like that's a good pickup, man. Like he was a really good player before the Wizards. I saw him interact with someone on Twitter too about this, telling them, or I think it was Instagram. They were like, oh, go figure. Of course, Dinwiddie does this the second he leaves the Wizards, and Spence. Like he's a very bright guy. I don't think he has an agent. I think he represents himself.
Yeah,
he's into
represents
crypto
himself.
and Bitcoin, and like he's a smart cat. And he comments back. He never like claps back at trolls with this like irresponsible, F you guys. I'm gonna do my thing. He hits him back with like this detailed. He goes, look, man. At the start of the year, I was 7 months removed from an ACL. Like 7 months removed. He goes, now I'm closer to 14 months. Like he'd be shocked. You know what I'm saying? At what 7 months can do for an athlete who's trying to feel his body.
Oh, bro, there was a time, within the last 5 years in which we didn't even expect athletes to be 100% and competing again in a 14-month window with ACL.
Yeah.
And to that
now
point,
that window has shrunk dramatically.
It has, but there's still the case of you guys just saw Markelle make his debut. He hadn't played.
Oh, no. Yeah, no, I'm not trying to diminish
I know.
that
I'm
component.
Just saying, like,
it's huge.
Even more impressive. It speaks to like Markelle. It took Markelle 14 months to get back on the court to play one game. Like Spence came back in 7. Now he's at the 14-month mark, and now it's like, okay, maybe you start to see more of the real player of who he like. We expect these dudes coming off like, KD ruins the whole thing for everybody because he tears his damn Achilles and comes back and he's still a freakazoid. So we expect like, oh, that guy's going to be the exact same. That's why everyone was holding their breath for Clay, holding their breath for KD. Like, if they can come back at 85%, I know was the term that always got thrown around. Is KD ever going to be the same? Yada yada. And KD kind of ruins the whole thing because he's just like, yeah, I'm Kevin Durant. Like, you know who I am. You know what I'm saying? You know who I am. Like, I'm still Kevin Durant. But I just think it's funny, a bunch of couch cushions, a bunch of couch bozos sitting. Why aren't you doing this? Well, I mean, give the guy some time, bro. Like, his body's going to need some time to get right.
Yeah. Just game speed is different, too. You can be 100% running, 5-on-5 in practice. That's not the same as game intensity.
The ramp up, you can't simulate, especially playoff intensity. That's a different ball game.
Oh, gosh.
When you start fighting for seeding this late in the year, I think Sands agrees, like, these aren't playoff games, but like you get in some environments where it's like, okay, we're really starting to jostle for, especially with the play-in, and you're trying to do whatever you can to avoid that 7-hole and be in a winner, a winner take all. Like the play-in's been awesome for the league because it's got everybody competing because you can't quite tank the same, with the new odds and stuff like that.
Well, that was kind of the whole idea behind it, right? Was to prevent tanking or try to discourage it as much as possible.
Yeah, it's been awesome, but I don't mean to get too far away from contender pretender because it's kind of where we started, but. I think I'm cool with your list, man. I think Philly, I need to see more. I'm biased as hell. I think our margin for error has gone up so much with the James Harden trade. So much. Like even those games with the Knicks, like you watched both of them, and the Knicks got up like 16 last game. And we cut it to I think 7 or 8 at half, and you were just kind of like, yeah, Philly's gonna win. Like. This is cute. Like, New York's hitting some dumb stuff, but, like, Philly's going to pull away because they got the 2 best players on the floor. And that's going to be the case for Philly almost every single night.
Yeah.
To your point about
The two
someone
best,
like Utah,
yeah.
for example, like if you go down the standings in the West, go down the standings. Phoenix is 1, Golden State, Memphis, Utah, Dallas, Denver. Those 6 teams
Minnesota.
right there. Yeah, if you just go through those 6 teams right there, Utah is never going to have the best player in the series. Never. Donovan Mitchell's nice, but they'll never have the best player in the series. And the playoffs are so.
And why can you expand for the viewer a little bit on why that's important to you, or just based on anecdotal evidence or otherwise?
Sands will touch a lot on depth. I think that is important when you have quality depth like the Heat.
Yeah.
But you guys know, and our viewers need to learn that the playoffs are star driven. You're predominantly going to be playing with your 1-2 the majority of the time. When you get into a tight game, y'all remember the finals between Golden State and Cleveland, the Game 7, the chase down block? Stuff gets really tight, bro, and teams go entire 3-4 minute stretches without scoring a bucket. And the only two guys that are really going to touch the ball are your stars because every possession matters. If you run a high pick and roll with James Harden, I was watching some old clips today of him with Houston, and what teams started to do in the playoffs was trap him high and make him outlet pass to Capella in the middle of the floor.
Because he can't pass.
He can't pass, he can't dribble, and guys panic with the ball. They tense up, the Danny Greens of the world. They take one dribble and things all of a sudden get really, really tight.
And so to expand on that point with the star players matter, I think the emphasis in how I talk about depth, because the Heat are so different. To explain depth, right? Okay, so the Sixers have the best 2 players on the court at all times in the East, probably other than probably the Bucks. Well, shit, the Bucks too. They have the top 1 out of the top 3, 2 out of the top 3 actually in that series, and they have the most star power in the East, in my opinion, other than the Nets. But to expand, if you go down the list with the Heat, you can have the 2 best players right in the series. What about the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th? That honestly may be the Heat. I mean, Tyrese Maxey's good and all that, but you go Jimmy Butler, Kyle Lowry, Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero. So you just go down the line, and that's different. And I think an example of that is shown with the Lakers when we played them in the finals. I know it's everybody's Mickey Mouse ring and all that BS, but I would say with that depth, and we did have injuries to Goran Dragic and Bam in that series. People forget that completely, but we did. But even then, you saw the star power. You see Jimmy Butler drop a 40-point triple-double, and the game comes down to a buzzer beater that's missed by Danny Green. It wasn't in a turnover by Markieff Morris. So the star power does matter because, like Chris said, late in the games, why do we judge the greats off their late-game situations? Because most of the time the bums ain't taking the shots. That's why we go, well, Ray Allen hit that shot in the corner. Steve Kerr, Paxton, because it's not normal. You know, so that's why we judge them off those big shots, because that's when it matters, and that's when they are going to take the shot, and that's just how it is.
And I know, Landon wanted me to, we're taking both sides of the coin here, which I think is dope. I don't mean to ride the fence, but, late in the game, you're for Philly, for example, every single action is going to be a Harden Embiid pick and roll, right?
Yeah,
every single games are tight in the playoff. Every single action is going to be Harden Embiid,
as it should be.
As it should be, because you just don't want do you really want to put Niang in an action? As good of a shooter as he is, you kind of want that to be your last outlet. But stars matter a ton from that perspective. But the inside of the game, the middle of the game, how you start off the first 4 minutes of the second quarter. To Sands' point, that's when your depth matters. For example, that Game 7 against Toronto, that Philly Game 7. Joel Embiid was a +12 or a +10.
You're talking about the Kawhi Leonard buzzer beater, right? Yeah.
I'm talking about the Kawhi shot. Joel Embiid, I believe, was a +10 in 46 out of 48 minutes. And the 2 minutes that he was off the floor to end the first half, Philly was a -12. And we lost by 2.
It's a LeBron. As a LeBron fan, that's what you look at.
2 minutes, it was funny. Dog. You had to borrow 2 minutes to keep your head above water.
That's
ever so slightly.
That's what happened.
And those small windows can lose a game. So
in the 2-15,
we have Point
Furkan.
We got Point Furkan coming out, whereas you guys have a competent, Gabe Vincent can actually play NBA basketball.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? That's the difference there. So I don't know if Philly's built to survive that type of stuff.
And then And then so this is what Sands was trying to point out earlier, and I'll just real quick, and I'll let him have the floor again. But to pivot to the Mavs, to why none of us really probably believe that they're true contenders right now is because in those scenarios in the first or second round, whatever, game 6, game 7, down the stretch with a minute and change left or last possession, they're sending doubles, sometimes even like a hard double or a weak triple team at Luka.
Yeah, they'll just
the Mavs don't have that elite second option that you trust right now that has proven that they can handle that moment.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, we would like to think that it's Jalen. We would like to think that maybe it could be Spencer. But
I said forever on my podcast, when I picked the Heat in 5 in the first round, people thought I was biased in the bubble. I said Heat in 5 because, in my opinion, Giannis couldn't shoot. Chris Middleton wasn't a proven playoff performer then. And because he would have those chokes in the playoffs where he did the DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry when he would have like 7 points on 3 of 13 shooting and not do anything. Yeah. And I was like, how long can you let Dante DiVincenzo, just because it's a funny name, shoot all the big shots and rely on that? Like, how long can you rely on Kyle Korver in the corner to hit the shot? Eventually, Braun going to have to take it, or Kyrie's going to have to take it, because you can't rely on those guys, even down the stretch in the fourth quarter, to really take those shots.
Those actions
Tyler Hero's different because he's a bucket getter. But
those actions are cute and like they work for the first 3.5 quarters. But when shit gets tight, it's like, do I really want to die by the hands of Danny Green?
Yeah.
Or do I want to maybe force something up at the rim because I am James Harden or Embiid or Luka or Jimmy
I wanted to
whatever.
touch on this if y'all brought it up, the Bucks and Heat game. This is my final point on this, dude. I saw different body language. Boy. This is crazy. I literally witnessed it. I saw they were telling me this game was tight when it was an 8-point game with 2 minutes left. I said, no, it's never tight.
Something was tickling my brain, dude. I felt it. I felt that thing.
But he did. But he was prodding at him too.
God, it was horrible.
Bro. But cut it to 8, and I was like,
the thing was, I saw a different Max Strus. I saw a different Gabe Vincent. They literally were immune to that ball. They did not want it. They were touching the ball, and it looked like they were scared to touch it.
Thank you.
It was so weird to see. I was like, Max Strus is one of the most confident eighth guys on the bench for the Heat I've ever seen. And this dude was literally scared to touch the basketball.
They might be Max Strus.
And he just hit 6 threes tonight against Kevin Durant.
Yeah. These guys could be dead snipers, and they will catch wide open. And
he was like I want to pass this shit so bad. Somebody come get it.
Where's Jimmy? Yeah, guys freeze up, bro. And that game, that's a playoff atmosphere.
Freezing up. Jimmy with 0 in the last 36 minutes of the game too. That's crazy.
That will never be done again by him or probably anybody. That's pretty hard to do, other than you fouling out or getting ejected. But the forum
he said it will never happen again.
No, the forum blew up though when Drew hit that game winner. You know what I'm saying? That was playoff atmosphere. That's what it looks like coming down the stretch. These role players, they don't want to be the one, because they're not built. They're not built to, you know what I mean, stand up to all the criticism.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day, even when they miss it, they know, well, James Harden's about to get killed in the media.
Yeah.
LeBron's gonna be the one to take this slander when Kent Bazemore misses a
just
three for the tie.
It's so funny because if we win that game
too. If you win the game, the narrative's completely different.
And the Jimmy thing, the Jimmy tweets probably don't ever get shown up if they win that game last night after we choked.
And then you feel amazing as a Heat fan because you're like, we just won a game where Jimmy went 2 of 15, and we still beat the Bucks on the road.
Terrible.
It's crazy, man. To your point, Chris Paul, we touched on this on the JJ pod, how it drives people crazy. It drives them crazy that people don't take those end of quarter, half court shots, because he's at the very end, bro. Games that are decided by 1 point, 2 points, 3 points, it all matters at the very end, and people get tight. Everybody tightens up, even the stars do. So, just possessions matter, and that much more is kind of why depth gets a little overrated come postseason time, and your stars have to do the heavy lifting, but you do need a complete roster around them. I don't think it's realistic
that was my real
game,
point.
But,
people the 3-and-D specialist guys are necessities, like Jay Crowder and all that. That's what was crazy about the Jay Crowder run in the bubble. He just like fell off the face of the earth because he was shooting like 60% from three,
like permanently. Yes,
dude,
that run he went on was ridiculous, man.
He was incredible.
I remember texting you being legit annoyed at that. I was like, "Who is
he hasn't
this?
missed a 3 in 4 games.
Like, he has not missed, bro. He's shooting like 71% from downtown. Who is this guy?
You good over there, Lando?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, we're good. We're
Can
good.
y'all hear
Making
me?
sure you're here. We need our host back to transition to a different topic.
For real though.
Yeah, so I mean, we can honestly free flow if you guys want. I mean, the Pretenders and Contenders was a good segue, but
so who's your East Finals and your West Finals? Like seeding's gonna mean everything, especially in the East, because styles make fights in the East. Like, you know what I mean? It's gonna be like if Chicago draws Philly, they're done because they can't hold Joe. But if they maybe draw a more guard-oriented team, maybe they can play. It's gonna be a lot.
I won't give you like an East Final because I can't predict seeding. Right?
You can't predict seeding, but if you had to pick the two like teams that are standing at the end,
I would probably
obviously it all gets thrown out the door when the bracket comes out. But
I would say Philly and the Heat, and that is some bias. But I also see what we've done to Giannis.
Like chalk picks.
Yeah, that too.
Oh, y'all play Giannis well.
Yeah, Giannis is averaging, other than this game, over the last this was game 30. Over 29 games versus the Heat, Giannis is averaging 19 points per game. So we neutralize him all the time. And they don't have they have shooting. They don't have I don't know, because without Brook Lopez, there just isn't, at center, there is no floor spreader. I know Bobby Portis is that dude, but Bam was bullying him when he was one-on-one with him in the post. He's going to be out of the game in no time, and I truly don't see Jimmy. They've taken that sample of Jimmy now against the Bucks the last couple games, the last 2 years. They don't bring up the 40-point game, all that in the bubble. I know it's the bubble season, but it still matters. You know, that is on the stat sheet in NBA history. It still matters. Still counts. And in the West, so I got Philly and the Heat. If I'm not even just abiding by you. I just think that the driving and all that Giannis does is going to be neutralized by Matisse Thybulle and James Harden. That's going to be real hard to do. And then in the West, I would say Phoenix.
Yeah, I feel like
and Golden State, maybe.
I feel like you have to chalk Phoenix. Like,
yeah,
you have to chalk Phoenix. Like,
and it's hard for me to say Golden State without Dre. Without Dre, Golden State, and then it's a hard mix of teams. Maybe Memphis, but you don't know if they're ready. But I would say
there's been some positive momentum with Draymond coming back, right? Haven't there been?
You're actually starting to hear real reports that he might actually come back. Yeah,
we're finally actually getting rumblings of his where.
Yeah,
he has a
podcast.
He's got a pulse, man.
I've seen him. I have eyes on him, so at least he's alive.
Yeah, because I mean,
if he don't come back, I'm taking Memphis over the Warriors.
Yeah, me too.
I would probably rock with Memphis in a series.
Yeah.
Phoenix is good as hell, though.
So
amazing.
Phoenix is good, man.
Yeah, and no Chris Paul. That'll be interesting to see, like, the chemistry if they're able to kind of just like pick it back up. You know, because week 7, right, puts us at the time of his injury, right before the break, they announced, 6 to 8 weeks?
He basically got the Bam
of a timetable. And then I think at that point...
Yeah, 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah. So you can talk about that in a second, too, and how that affected Bam. But, 7 weeks, I think, at the time of the announcement of the timetable would have put us at week 1, like the first, weekend of playoff weekend. So how quickly can that team kind of get back in a rhythm with their floor general healthy and active, right? That's going to be a major topic of discussion. So that could be the only caveat maybe to keeping them out of the Western Conference Finals.
Go down the line, you look at like 7 through 10 in the West. You're like, okay, no matter who you're looking at, Minnesota's in the 7 hole right now. Then the Clippers, then the Lakers, then the Pelicans. So you're thinking like whoever finishes last out of that draws Phoenix. Okay, they're probably going to walk over them, and they probably will. Even without CP, I would take Phoenix in all those series. But what happens if CP, similar to the Clippers series last year, he misses 2 games? What happens if they draw the Clippers and Kawhi Leonard is on the men? You know what I'm saying? Like, what if Kawhi comes back towards the end of the year?
That's
I'm
not
a team. Trying to see the Clippers with Kawhi without CP in the first round. I don't know. I'd probably still pick Phoenix, maybe, but I mean, you want to talk about getting stuck in a trap? Like, Chris
I
Paul
mean,
coming back for the playoffs is going to be critical. I don't think you'd be able to walk over. Now, Minnesota you'll handle. The Lakers are just simply not good, and the Pelicans they're cute right now. The CJ trade's been nice, but
bro, speaking of which, I just saw just a second ago. Not to interrupt, the Lakers are down like 30 right now to the Clippers. Speaking of, so
this man,
bro, it's
I can't stop.
We're planning on doing a gambling segment for you guys, but y'all might not want to take this man's advice much longer.
Dude, they're literally down 30
really?
with 3 minutes left in the
So
third.
they'll come
You
to
can't make this
3,
shit
right?
up.
Monk had a lob dunk to cut it to like 3, right? I thought Malik Monk cut it to like 3 at the half. Austin Reeves got a steal.
I don't
He lobbed
know.
it up.
I don't know
Malik
what
said,
happened.
I think they went to half like 66-63.
I don't know,
Good
man.
Lord, man. I know AD is not.
Oh, LeBron God. Shit.
LeBron about to retire, bro. This man's
Yeah.
gonna pull a Brady for real.
Y'all think this is a joke?
Hey,
This man's gonna pull a Brady, man.
This is my hard-earned money.
I think that's actually
Don't
a
gamble,
perfect
kids.
place to segue.
Hello.
Okay, before we were rudely interrupted by my jackass internet,
Back.
my government knows every time we got the bandwidth.
Cover.
Every time I so much as want to go take a piss, they know. But I can't
Watching.
have a 30-minute, podcast with my friends without my internet crapping
Funny,
out.
right?
This
Funny
is
how that
bullshit. Okay. Where were we? We had a great conversation going too. So
I already forgot.
I think we were talking about we were talking about
Contenders.
the
start
Lakers,
playoff.
I think.
The
Your
Lakers
bets.
blowing.
Yeah.
The Lakers
getting beat by 30 by the
Lakers beating
Clippers.
Lakers, Just
Yeah,
being that
so-
team.
basically.
I just saw Chuck on the halftime show. He said, "I'm done calling that team by their name. Like they're just the team from Southern California from here on out. Like they have not earned.
Chuck
like,
would
I don't
say that.
recognize the Lakers. He would, bro. And Shaq said, "No, really, Chuck? Really, Chuck? I'll
You
take
know
that
what
bet."
I hate? You know what I hate? This random championship or bust mentality from the fan base and from like people like Chuck or
From
the
everyone.
national media.
Yeah, it's from everybody.
They weren't good literally until LeBron came. They have been horrible for the better part of a decade until
Yeah.
LeBron came. And now it's, and they always criticized how the Lakers were run until Magic Johnson got LeBron to come, even though he was going to come anyways. But they were always criticized for how the organization was run. LeBron comes, and they act like all the organizational problems with the Buss family fighting over ownership, Jeannie Buss really not knowing how to run a team, none of that. That all went away. They just randomly went away when LeBron came.
Yeah.
But it's his fault that he's going to leave them in the dumps when they were already
See,
a dump. What are you
That's
talking
the
about?
thing.
Hey.
Bro, that's the thing to me.
Feel free.
Like, go ahead, Landon. Go ahead.
If you got
I
something,
was
go
just
for
gonna
it.
say like the Les Snead shirt, like F them picks, like. And I will say this, like LeBron went on record with some stuff at the All-Star break that, like, he's clearly trying to. He's
I mean,
very
if I was a
cerebral, bro.
GM, I'd be like, I'm not trading these picks.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Well,
but
that's what I'm-
he said
yeah,
that
I
after
see
the
both sides.
after the trade.
That's what I'm saying. And then he like backtracked it and was like, I didn't really mean it like that. Rob's doing a great job. And part of that's like saving face. He was like,
Hey.
I don't know why you guys thought I was criticizing him. Well, because you did, Bron. Like, you clearly had an issue with no moves being made at the deadline. And I'd be pissed too. Like
Expand upon that.
Look, I'm LeBron James, dog. Like I'm in the conversation for the greatest to ever do it. And there might be proverbially one guy that I'm chasing, which these guys are always going to find a chip. Like LeBron's the second greatest player at worst in NBA history, and he still wants to come and get it every single night. Like I'm 37-year-old LeBron James. You guys gave Kobe this sweet right off into the sunset contract that set your franchise back years. I come here, I saved the day. We win a chip my first full year healthy because he had the hamstring issue with a bunch of young guys who couldn't develop. He delivers them a title right off the bat, and then all of a sudden it's, nah, like that. We kind of need that 2027 first rounder. Well, then don't sign LeBron James, bro.
Oh, also,
You know, like,
and LeBron
you signed
is
LeBron James to win a
37.
chip. That's what I'm saying. You agree the second
When
you
now-
bring him in,
when-
you agree
when
to
now-
a 5-year window. All we're about is winning right now. F them picks, dude. Like you can't be doing both.
Win now and win in the future.
No,
don't
no, they do
coincide
not,
when your
man.
superstar's 36.
No, you can't be doing that.
Yeah.
Oh, and my point was he's averaging his most points in 14 years, by the way. Nobody knows that. He's averaging his most points since his MVP season back in 08-09.
Yeah, and he's
ridiculous.
And he's probably more efficient than that year somehow. The guy's not a scorer. I saw Richard Jefferson talking about this the other day. They were asking him who the greatest scorers of all time was.
Not
he was
a
like
scorer.
LeBron James. And he goes, "No, you mean like Kevin or Michael or LeBron James?" Richard's like,
yeah,
bro, like LeBron James, bro. He's averaging 27 for his life, shooting 50% like LeBron James.
And
he might not.
and
he doesn't hit those aesthetically pleasing like turnaround jumpers, even though he is now. He
doesn't have the most nuanced offensive.
And his
attack.
mindset is not score first, which should tell you more about how gifted a scorer he was. Real quick, I saw. I think LeBron's mask anniversary came up. I'm sure you saw this, Sands, on Twitter, where he dropped like 61.
I quote tweeted it.
He had some quote in there like, "If I shot 37 times a game like some of these dudes, I would drop 60."
Yeah.
And right after that, LeBron took 33 shots, went 8 for 10 from 3 and dropped 61. And it was kind of like, I told you so. Like, I could do this shit with ease, man. I could go out and dime you up for 11 assists a night, lead a league in assists, like I thought he would as he faded and got older.
Yeah, and he hasn't.
And his scoring is kind of gone like
he's just expanded his shooting.
But,
he's become a better
shooter. The MAVS Braun he tied the longest streak in NBA history for most 30-point plus games with 60% or more shooting while he had the mask on. He went on an unbelievable tear.
He was on a tear, bro.
And to do the other side of the argument of the anti-LeBron people, which, I mean, we're on a Mike Fisher channel. I would imagine there's a lot. Now,
we're on the Braun topic now. Let's dive, baby.
I will give you this. We already talked about the Westbrook trade last week, right? It is more about...
Colt's going to be pissed he's missing this argument.
Out of nowhere.
Hey, I heard something about LeBron MJ. But the
he's going to hack our link.
The anti-Braun people, I get it, man. Listen, he did bring in AD, which is their biggest thing that's going on that is almost not talked about. It's just like surface level with the Lakers all the time. But when they dissect teams like the Heat or other good teams like the Celtics or the Warriors, it's some deep thought process of how they're not going to win the title. But with the Lakers, it's so surface level. It's Russell Westbrook sucks. LeBron didn't play good tonight. But they're not even saying anything about AD. They just go, AD's injury prone. AD's injury prone.
Like,
there's a top 10.
They throw out AD being hurt like he's Korkmaz. Like, he's been down for a little bit.
They got a top 10 player in the world, like you said, Chris. He's chilling over there in street clothes.
And like sideline. When he played, people forget when he played against the Suns, 2 games that he was healthy. He went 34 and I believe 14 back-to-back games, and they won both of those games. The only 2 games the Lakers won against the Suns, they had AD, and then he got hurt, and then they didn't win another game.
Yeah, and already I think AD's bad season, you've touched on this too, was being overblown. Like, the guy's almost shooting a career-high field goal percentage. His points were a little down, which just tells me he's shooting the 3-ball terribly.
He's 24 and 11.
Yeah, he's shooting the 3-ball terribly, and he hasn't been near as good at the line. But, like, to say that AD is, like, falling off a cliff, like, let's calm down here a little bit.
He's in and out of the lineup.
The media's been doing, like, this Embiid or AD. That thing's kind of been going on for years, and so now everyone's like, because he's not a top 3 big man in the world, he's awful. Like, he is terrible. If you want to argue injuries, that's one thing, though. But he was playing. But before this recent injury, Landon, before I passed to you, AD was playing like AD again, like bubble AD. Like, AD was AD before he went down the second time. Now, I don't know what that means about their team, but to our point earlier, like, and I don't want to be guilty of saying the Lakers suck, but I don't want to see them in the first round. But it's also like,
that's so true.
All the 2-man actions.
Nobody's begging for that.
Yeah, you're not trying to see LeBron and AD in the playoffs. You're just not.
You're not begging for that. No. Man, I don't even know where I was going.
That's why I got a notepad. That's why I got a notepad and a pen. So if people talk, I can just take a note and then jump on them.
Yeah, maybe took us out of the rhythm
right
there.
You're fine.
No, dude. It happens to me all the time. But I did want to go back on one thing, Sans. I wanted you to elaborate a little bit on Lakers ownership. You mentioned the Bus family and all that stuff, but just like talk about their quote unquote level of ineptitude.
The mom and pop shop you got going.
Just talk about
Jerry
that a little bit.
Buss is widely renowned. The late great Jerry Buss is widely renowned as the greatest owner in sports history, and they actually have a show coming out about it on HBO, and I can't wait for that to come out. John C. Reilly, I believe, is playing. Is it out already? Yeah. Oh well.
Previews for that.
Oh really, dude? I think
No.
it's called Showtime or Show something. Anyways, so after he passed,
Ooh.
you see it, hella dope. It was a thing where Jeannie Buss, people don't even know she has a brother because he's been cut out of it. So it goes from Jeannie Buss is married to Phil Jackson. He was gonna be a coach. They tried to hire him, but he only wanted to do home games and not coach on the road. And they literally highly considered that. Then
Kyrie
you go
stuff right
further.
there.
Yes, then you go further along.
Yeah.
Then they go and they hire Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson is getting trash talked by Rob Pelinka. People forget this whole storyline. He's getting trash talked by
Pelinka's the GM.
yes,
For those
Pelinka
that
is
don't know.
the Lakers GM, the one that
Who
makes
was
all the
Kobe's
moves.
agent, correct?
Yes,
he's got-
this is my next
So
point.
he's got ties, yeah.
He has ties to players, but when you hear the reports about Rob Pelinka as an agent, he's apparently very aloof. He's kind of an asshole, and he really doesn't get along with other players than star players or his star clients. So you hired an agent who probably was influenced by the late, great Kobe Bryant as well, that really didn't make any sense as a GM
Yeah.
or president of basketball operations when it's all out there. And then the internal stuff between the Buss family of who's going to own this, who's going to own that. It was crazy.
Yeah, it
And
was
then
messy.
now Pelinka should have been gone last year, in my opinion, but he wasn't. And then now he's not gone this year, which doesn't make any sense. And they gave up their whole future for LeBron, which is fair. Like Chris said, you have a 5-year window. They gave up everything. They gave up Brandon Ingram.
And they already got one title.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
That's the thing that cracks me up too. Is like, you know, I watched the Eagles win in 17. Not to pivot real quick, but you think you're going to go back repeatedly, and then you get to a point where maybe, you know, we won 4 games, not this past year, but the one prior, and you're like, damn, man, like we're here again. But what people don't realize is like, you got a ring in 17. Like what Dallas hadn't been to a. You know, not to harp on Dallas and switch sports, but like they haven't been to an NFC chip in 26.
See,
I'm just saying, bro. Like
we ain't got
I'm
to
just
do
saying,
that.
like these fan bases want everything. To our point earlier, like they want to win a chip and be set for the future. They want to have like
Crying Jordan
They
meme.
want to have like 3 Tyrese Maxeys on the come up while having LeBron and AD, and they want to win 3 chips in 4 years, and it like just doesn't work like that. Like you signed LeBron,
Yeah.
you got a chip. Really, you got a ring. Like if they don't win another one, it was
The
A
Dallas
35-year-old
Sports,
LeBron
bro.
That's what I'm
got
saying.
you a ring.
No one expected Bron to even be at
Yeah.
this point, and he's still proving everybody wrong. But you got a ring, like
And-
mission accomplished. You brought
and
LeBron
Landon-
to a franchise and revived them from the ground. You did your
Yeah,
job.
and
So
Landon-
everything else is gravy.
Landon, were you saying about
Yeah.
dynasties? Is that what you're about to say?
That's
So
exactly what
I was
going
going
to
to say,
Yeah.
dynastic
Go for it.
franchises don't happen in the NBA often because you have
And they don't
mostly
happen
now,
really in sports
Especially
anymore.
with
with
period.
the
Dallas
free
player
agency
movement.
period.
Yeah,
With the
Nope.
free
Yeah, they ain't
agency
happening
period, the
anymore.
Yep.
trade deadline, all these things, all these moving parts, you really don't see dynastic franchises, and it takes a KD joining a 73-9 team for that to happen. Where you go,
Yeah.
that's going to be a dynasty. And we talk about LeBron underachieving in Miami with only 2 rings. You go to KD, and if he stayed, we're probably talking about the Warriors as 5-time champions in a row, and I'm not even kidding. I know that sounds nuts,
Yep.
but I'm not even kidding. They could win 5 in a row. It's just like the MJ thing when he was going through it. All the people that defend MJ, he gets 8 in a row if he doesn't play baseball. He gets 8 in a row. And fair enough, because I saw the highlights of MJ, and I see why people think he's an alien. But like and I'll say this from my fandom, right? I have the most championships in this chat right now. Got the
bro.
most rings as a Heat fan and a Bucks fan. I thought those LeBron days.
Hey, I've been to 2 finals in my lifetime as a
That's
Mavs
true.
fan, so that's pretty good. That's more than most can
And
say.
I thought the LeBron days would last forever. Not with LeBron, but just being a teenager in high school going, bro, we got 2 rings, and I'm only 16, and I'm sitting here at 26 with 0 more.
Yeah,
I'm sitting
that's
here
what I'm saying.
a decade later with 0 more, and every year I'm like, okay, we're gonna get it this year. And then with the Bucks, I'm not swaying sports again, but with the Bucks, I'm good for my life because I know how inept that our franchise is. I know how bad the Bucks are, and I know Bruce Arians is going to walk out the door next year, and we're going to have a coaching change, and everything's going to shift, and we're going to turn back into rebuild mode. And I'm cool for my life with that one Tom Brady ring, considering he's one of my favorite athletes ever.
Absolutely,
and I'm chilling.
It's worth it. Yeah,
chilling.
Like,
and by the way, don't be apologetic for bouncing topics or sport, like providing context any way that you can, bro. I think is great for the listener. So like whatever y'all feel like it needs to be included, man. This is y'all's show too.
Like, moral of the story is like when all a fan ever wants is to be in contention for a chip. That's all they want, and and they get one, and it's like we all do this. Like I'm guilty of it. We're all guilty of it. When you get one, you're like, let's run that shit back. You know, so like I can get used to this, bro. Like
run that back, Turbo.
Give me 4 more of these in about 6 years, and I'm gonna start counting up the chips and the merchandise, and the man cave is gonna be decked out. There ain't gonna be a blank space, wall in the cave by the time we're done. And the reality hits, and you're like, bro, it is so damn hard to win a chip, dude. Like you need a ton of luck. You need a ton of luck. You got to be good, but you need a ton of luck.
Look at the Bucks.
Bro. The ball's got to bounce your way.
I was gonna say,
that's what I'm saying.
Especially in
Kevin
football.
Durant's
It's
foot, bro.
in football than any
if
other
KD
sport.
is wearing a size 1 too big, none of that stuff happens with Giannis. He doesn't have a 50 burger in the finals to seal it. He doesn't go 17 for 19 from the line or whatever the hell he shot. Like, and his entire legacy is different, bro. Like you need some luck. If James Harden's hamstring holds up, if Kyrie's ankle holds up, we ain't talking about the Bucks.
And talking about.
Y'all talking about Chris Paul in the West,
exactly. Too. And I was thinking with the Bucks, I told y'all during the regular season, I didn't think Tom was going to retire. I thought those rumors were
you were like, somebody's being cute. Like, no way,
I was like, this is crazy. Yeah. And the thing was, I
don't think anybody did,
and
bro.
In the regular season, I did not enjoy one of those games and that's the thing.
That's what rings do to you, which sucks too.
And I'm like, we're the favorite
matter.
in every game.
Yeah.
We just won the Super Bowl. Oh, we lost to the Saints again for the 12th time in 2 seasons. Oh, whatever. I don't care. They're not going to be in the postseason.
Yeah, who cares?
Exactly. And then you just stop enjoying the step-by-step process as a fan.
So you're saying, okay, this is deep shit right here. This is. I love this topic. So what Sands is saying is, at least the way I interpret it, you can correct me if I'm wrong. It's like you almost have this fan hangover period because you're so accustomed, or you fall in love with the hype of what the moment of the Super Bowl is. That following season, when you bring everybody back, you've got the greatest quarterback of all time. You're playing the Cowboys Week 1 Thursday Night Football to open off the season. It doesn't even feel like it's like a preseason game to you. And then like that trickle effect into the season, you're like, damn. Okay, we just lost. It doesn't really matter. It's only one game, whatever. But because y'all were 7-5 last year when you won, or at one point you went on to win the Super Bowl. Nobody,
and it's like,
but
from Sam's perspective, like Tom Brady coming to his team, a team full of youth and talent everywhere. When they win the first one, I know in Sands' head, he's like, I just watched what the Patriots did with Tom Brady. Like, why not us? Like, tell me why we're not about to break off a similar.
The
Patriots
point
fans,
out of my mouth.
I guarantee you Patriots fans are miserable. Even when they won, it's like Bama, bro. Like, everyone's like, I sit there all the time. I went to North Texas. We don't win shit. Like, we've won 15 straight games in basketball right now. We're probably going to win the conference tourney. And I am stoked. It was like Philly last year in football. Like, I am over the moon making the playoffs because you have no real expectation. When you're expected to win, like Patriots fans, they are miserable until the day the banner is hung. And then they're like, this is dope, but, like, we did what we were supposed to do. Like, I'm not, like, you can't really get up the same way.
You get numb to it. Then it becomes numb. Dude,
like,
sports are so crazy.
My dad
That's why
always
having lows
told
is,
me.
like, necessary. But
and my dad always told me as an Arkansas fan, dude, don't let anybody guilt you into enjoying that 7-5 season. What you're just letting people take away. You're just letting people take away from your. Yeah, like you're letting people take away from your fun as a fan. Like, holy shit, Arkansas won 7 games. That's crazy to me.
That's the
you can't let people guilt you out of that.
The whole point of being a fan
is enjoying the highs.
you are supposed to enjoy the process of belonging to something bigger than you, bro. That is fandom 101. That's what it's
exactly.
What else is it for?
We're all on the same wavelength there.
We want to belong to something, connect with other human beings,
saying,
like primitive brains. That's
humans
what we
are
do.
tribal by nature, bro.
We come together.
And
we come together, bro.
I heard someone say this the other day. If there were no political parties, we would still find shit to argue about. It was on The Shop, that episode of The Shop. And they're like, we would still find shit to argue about. You know, it's like high school. You have your clique. Like maybe you don't talk to the jocks, or maybe the nerds aren't really your style, or maybe you don't mess with the band kids, or like stuff like that. Fanhood brings everybody together. I remember when the Eagles won the chip in 17, and I came into the office with my phone and 2 jerseys on both sides of my shoulders, and I was blaring the Eagles fight song. And I sit down, I'll never forget it. This woman named Beth, I sit down, and she goes, "Oh, what happened?" I was like, "Beth, we won the Super Bowl. Like, what do you mean?" And she goes, "What do you mean we? Like, you don't play for them?" And I was like,
"No, she didn't."
I was like, "I'm not."
Don't make me start cracking on women, please.
I'm saying, like, I'm not about to have this talk in office. Dude. I'm not about to have this talk with someone
down.
That doesn't get it. Even Molly, like to this day, like y'all know Molly, love Molly to death. The wife, she doesn't do sports, and she's like, how does it affect your mood? Like, it's just a game. And I'm like, babe, it's so much bigger than that. Like, there's backstories on every player. Like, I could read you off a 5-hour monologue on why Joel Embiid deserves a ring, how he didn't play his first 2 years, yada, his brother died, yada. We could go on. It's the story behind the players and the journey that makes getting to the top or close to it the best part of your life. Like, it's.
And Nia didn't
can't really explain it to
guess
people
what?
who don't
If nothing else, you had hope for 6 straight months.
Yeah,
hope is powerful, man.
Nia didn't understand the acne breakout that I was having every Heat series that I'm watching. Like, do you know the stress? Women hate us being happy, man. They're just like, you're so happy about this random sports object. You don't know those people. I'm like, you're tweeting about Gossip Girl every 3 days. You don't know Blake Lively? That's not even real. Sports are at least real. Bro. They're a real thing.
Yeah,
you're mad about a show and how it ended.
Yeah, you're
reality
television. With Timothy on The Bachelor over a scripted show about who he sends home and who he gives the final freaking rose to. Excuse me.
But I'm crazy
because
I'm mad Jimmy Butler shot 33% in a playoff series. Yeah.
Like, there's levels to this stuff, man. It's just like, and the people like Beth, bless her heart, like if you want to guilt trip people into belonging to something and being happy about, you know, something that I don't want to say drives your life, but it gives you like a sense of belonging. Otherwise, you can always downplay. Oh, I got a promotion at work. Okay, well, what's?
I was just about to say that.
Like, who cares? Like, it's just money, right? Like, who cares then? Why are you excited? You can say that about every single accomplishment in your life. We're all going to die someday. You know, we all choose to live our life the way that we want, and the things that give us joy. That should be each individual. You can individualize as much as you want, man. Whatever you choose makes you happy. That's what you should rock with. Maybe Beth's high. She was a runner. Now we're talking about Beth. I'm about to go on a Beth tangent. Her high was running 6 miles on the trail out back and getting in, you know, the runner's high, and she felt like she had accomplished something.
Or people like my boss.
I'd rather my team win by 30 on Sunday, and then I feel like we accomplished something.
Just like my boss. Me and him don't get along.
We did this.
Me and my boss, like, don't get along because his life and his enjoyment is literally his career. Like, that's where he gets his joy from. Like, everybody's doing perfect in this, and like, I don't judge him for that. We just have a little disconnect there because I will never be that way. You know, it just is what it is.
Yeah. No, man. Fanhood, man. It's powerful stuff, man.
One last point on women before we hit to the next topic or whatever. I don't even know if it's time to wrap it up. We can wrap it up too.
Good.
But I saw this. One of my friends, he sent me some video. I don't even know what it was, but it was outlining a dude, you know, having an afternoon getaway on Sunday, golfing with the bros, right? And then his significant other's reaction to him breaking the news saying, "Hey, babe, I'm about to go golf." And it was like 3 different alter egos within the same chick contemplating and processing that specific moment, like thinking one side was logic, one side was heart, and then one side was mind or something like that. But just like they think they overprocess everything. If we want to go be with the boys, it's because we just want to be with the boys. It's not necessarily because we want to get away from the girls.
We don't want to be with
or you know, they think something's automatically wrong. Like if we're spending too much time with our boys, it's just like we're just doing us. And there's no bigger plot. You know, like we're not
greatest
behind the scenes plotting.
Comedian to me right now. Word to the greatest. He said on the Conan O'Brien show, Bill Burr, my favorite comedian, he said women hate that men are so stupid that we can enjoy yelling at the TV going, that's holding. That's holding. That's holding. Like
right.
he's just, that's holding. Come on, call it. You call it. And they hate that we're happy about that. So I agree.
It always.
So, okay, one other thing. I don't know if y'all have also noticed this. Guys have like not only a ton of friends within like one specific friend group, but then we have a ton of friend groups.
For sure.
Yeah.
As well, right? Like women, and I know this. I can speak at least. I gotta be careful here.
I'm not gonna be careful.
There is a reasonable level based on what I've heard, discussions that I've heard, not naming names, of envy that women can't connect with other women the way that men can with each other.
Yeah.
They can't.
Trust me.
They can't do it. How many girls, how many women do you know that have more than 5 like ride or die best friends?
And that's the thing. Women do this thing where they detach off one disagreement. So when I tell Nia, she can't fathom this. When I tell Nia, I'm not going to get into politics, but a difference in political opinion doesn't ruin a friendship for me. She is like,
yeah, we might get copyrighted.
Like, what? Are you serious? Like, she's baffled because one disagreement between women turns into almost hatred towards each other from one disagreement. Or she said hey to your boyfriend in the wrong tone. Like, I didn't like her tone the way that she said hey to you. Like, what are you talking about? Like, that's crazy. You know what I mean? It's just women have those particular things, those checkpoints. Is she calm? Like they have a checklist for friends, and I got friends that are all different. If you hang out with your woman, you're gonna realize most of her friends are probably like they're triplets or 3 identical beings just in different bodies.
Bro, that's facts.
Like, the funny thing is, like, to tie it back to our overarching theme, like, if I didn't watch sports, I would probably lose like 85% of the people that I talk to, bro. Like,
exactly.
Straight up, like,
no
that's
joke.
the thing.
No joke.
When you say, like, women in general don't have a bunch of friends, what ties us together? Like, fantasy football, sports, the regular season, NFL, like, all that is, like, how you build camaraderie.
And
you have, like,
and then you get into the details of their lives and stuff.
Yeah, and then you, like, start to know, yo, man, like, how's it going with the lady? Like, how's the kid doing? Like, yeah. But on most of my stuff, like, if you ain't messing with sports, like, we don't have a future together, bro. Like, I'm not trying.
While his best man at his wedding knows nothing about sports.
He was the one
his
exception.
Best man at his wedding knew
but everyone used to
to
ask me, and to be honest, we don't talk much anymore, if at all. And I kind of always saw that coming because eventually, when you stop seeing him every day, that we didn't really have a ton of commonalities, me and Jared. So, like, eventually that kind of ran its course. Now, he'll always be there, like, a call away. We can always pick stuff up.
Yeah.
You know, like it was yesterday. But, like, to be a constant stay in my life, sports have got to be on the forefront. And to your point about women, like, the ones that don't get into it like that, to me, I'd be the same way. Like, if I didn't watch sports, I'd probably have, 4 friends, and we'd talk about life occasionally, and I'd go on about my day. But that ain't how it is. And that's not how I want it also.
Yeah, that's true. Like, in total fairness, like, their counterpoint, they could point at us and be like, you guys are just a bunch of freaking
I'm
animals
full degenerate.
huddled around a TV.
Degenerate, bro. Like, I own that, though.
So we've all got that, like, that one unifying component of life that kind of does bring us all together. And for us, it does happen to be sports, which is why we're sitting here having this discussion in the first place. But yeah, man, that's that's an interesting dynamic.
No doubt. Where do we want to go next? We could edit this part out, obviously, but
we
done? Y'all trying to go somewhere else?
Okay. I do have one more point, which I know you guys were obviously watching your teams play, or the Sixers had the night off tonight, didn't they? Nonetheless, you were watching NBA on TNT. Sam's was watching the Heat play. I was watching the majority of today. I was watching the Combine, right?
I watched a good amount today.
And so I thought I was slick. You know, I made my little video today for my channel talking about the Combine and you don't even have to, but it was about 10 minutes long, you know, and I was talking about some of the nuances that were added to this year's Combine, right? Explaining how I thought it might impact the Combine and the metrics and all the testing numbers. I said, I heard them playing music when the tight ends started running. There was like background music inside Lucas Oil Stadium. And then obviously there were fans in the stands today. So about 10,000 people is the number that I heard. So in my head, I was like, okay, that's cool. You know, that hasn't happened before. That's a first. Maybe we'll see a record be broken, or, you know, we'll see some more, you know, some pretty gaudy numbers maybe come in bunches, or, you know, guys will run a little faster, be a little bit more loose, more the game, you know, environment, whatever. So I'm watching these receivers run, right? And the receivers historically don't even test the fastest. So this is still like we're day one to the Combine here. We haven't even gotten into the DBs yet, right. But halfway through Group 2, there's 10 guys in the 4.3s and nuts. 3 guys in the 4.2s.
Nuts, bro.
And I'm just like, okay, hold on. So this is crazy. Like either I'm really damn smart and I'm a genius, and y'all better listen to me, or something is going on here. Because anyway, I got into a discussion, had a couple people behind the scenes mention to me that something ain't right here, and so lo and behold, we've got, what was the dude's name we were talking about from PFF? Yeah. Ari. He comes out and basically the official Combine 40 numbers were released, right? Have y'all seen this yet?
I saw a tweet about it. I saw a tweet about it on my alerts while we were going to a break earlier, and it said something like they were all way too low on the unofficials.
So two examples. Tyquan Thornton, wide receiver out of Baylor, and Chris Olave, wide receiver out of Ohio State, right? Both ran in the 4.2s.
Wow. I'm looking at it right now. Jesus.
According to the unofficial time, right? And so, for instance, if you're not fully aware, John Ross has the NFL record for the fastest 40 time in Combine history since they've been, you know, recording it and measuring it at 4.22. Tyquan Thornton today allegedly ran a 4.21, and Chris Olave allegedly ran a 4.26. Well, come to find out, and this is Ari Marov from PFF who's tweeting this. So he said that those numbers were adjusted. For Thornton, it went from 4.21 to 4.28.
Which is still burning.
And for Olave, from 4.26 to 4.39. So, like, those aren't small gaps. My question is, what are we – in 2022, we can't even get our technology right? Yeah. Like, what's going on here?
Bro.
I mean, are they trying to boost the ratings, or is there a conspiracy in the background? Or I mean, that's crazy talk, right? What's going on?
I still am dumbfounded by the fact that we're sitting in 2022 and we still got hand time scouts like taking this shit to the bank. You know what I mean? I'm like,
I know, right?
There is no way your 72-year-old self is keeping an accurate time, bro. Like
crusty ass scouts.
You already know he's leaning over and being like, "I got Desmond Ridder at 4.18, bro. Did you see that?" Like, there's no way. Like these guys, and they actually believe it too. I don't know. It's kind of crazy. To me.
These guys lived through World War II and they're timing people. I don't understand what
crusty, man.
And it just doesn't. Once again, like you said, in 2022, the technology being off, and I do not recall. I usually watch. I didn't watch the Combine today for everybody to know. Watch the highlights of it, like people running their 40s is the highlights. Hate to tell you, but I watched the highlights of it.
Unless you're a super nerd,
I can't recall any time in the recent past that it's been this off.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
4.26 to 4.39.
That means something.
Massive.
Bro,
it had to be groupthink. Like something went
13 tenths of a second.
Someone tried some new technology. Someone tried a new way to do it. Maybe the music threw it off, or the crowd, or something. I don't know what it was. I'm just trying to think of stuff, but it makes no sense that it's that off, like that off. That's crazy.
I don't see how we can't like.
1/10.
Talk about this, or I talk about this with. Like a football measuring first downs and Are you crossing the plane? Like, is there not a way to, like, obviously you can't microchip like a human, although maybe nowadays people would blindly do it.
Yeah, you can.
That's another topic. But, but, like, can we not – why are we still relying on, like, overhead cameras and, like, goal – and we can't get, like, a good view on a scoring view? I'm like, can we not just simply – and maybe I'm stupid, but can we not, like, chip the ball, and if it crosses, like, every single first down marker, maybe the chains are, like, lasered as well, and it sort of,
I was
like,
about to say
ticks.
a laser.
It ticks and it crosses the threshold, and boom, you've got your results right there. Like, how are we not – I don't know what way to do that for the 40. And maybe they are doing something like that when they get the official times, because there's no way an official time is coming from a collection of a bunch of hand times, right? Like, there's got to be some sort of official way that they're tracking this that's
I've
accurate.
never understood
Otherwise,
having
they
an
wouldn't be releasing them,
unofficial time in the first place.
Yeah.
Well, okay, yeah. So that's where it is a laser that's happening. So like maybe the synchronization and getting it synced up with TV and what's happening live is an issue.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really know.
That's crazy.
But that seems to be the only explanation to me. And I also want to be clear, like let's not sneeze at 4.28 and 4.39. Like
That's what I'm saying.
that's still
Does that mean
that's still
Traylon
moving.
ran
And
a
then
4.7? What happened? I need to know what
He
he
ran a
Well,
4.55.
I haven't
4.55
yeah.
was his official.
So he probably ran a 4.6.
Okay.
4.55. There was only one guy that ran 4.2s. That was Tyquan Thornton. Now Alec Pierce, that's the.
Yeah, from Cincy.
I remember
yeah.
texting y'all that day that I was like, oh my god, that's a specimen.
Like
he didn't even catch
right
he didn't
before
even
the
catch
semis.
ball.
You did.
Desmond
You
Ridder,
said that.
threw him a slant route and it was too high. But when he jumped, I was like, sweet Jesus! Like this dude has to have a 40.
You saw
he has to have a 40, and he ran a 4.33 today, official.
Yeah.
Like that's a specimen right there.
Yep,
That's
that was
that's
crazy.
a big dude. But
That's one of those where Dion's like,
yeah, he can run.
"Hey, that boy moving now. I don't even."
Run.
Yeah, he can really run.
Who was that he was talking? Troy Apke is who he was talking about. Yeah,
It was Troy Apke.
That's crazy.
Yeah, he got drafted by
But,
by
like,
Washington,
it's crazy.
the Foreskins.
Foreskins. You look at like Alec Pierce, who ran 4.33, and it's just funny. You hear like even Daniel Jeremiah, who is like, in my opinion, he's the guy I respect the most in the national media, especially for combine stuff. And he'll watch like Jahan Dotson, for example, and he'll be like, I'm expecting low 4.3s here. And Dotson comes out today with a 4.43. It's just kind of like, it doesn't strike me, but he is doing TV. Maybe there's like a sort of, like you said, maybe it can drive ratings a little bit, and you kind of get the fan to stay next to the TV. And I don't want to miss like John Ross.
There's got to be some
I don't
network.
wanna miss John Ross's
There's
record
network
going down.
influence.
Yeah, so it's like
There's 100%, and I know. I mean,
and
you
I'm
listen to Inside the NBA.
Like, stuff is fixed. Like I'm so far removed from that.
Oh no. Right. Well, and I don't even mean to say that it's fixed. All I mean is that like the networks, there's some incentive. Like for behind the scenes, they're saying, hey, create this narrative, create the headline, stir the pot a little bit. Like they just get people talking, get people clicking. That's the world we live in today.
The NFL
It
is
is what it
king.
is.
Like they want to stay in the news cycle. I get it. The NFL has become like
for sure.
The NFL has become probably an 11th month sport. Like I think there's a small window between the Super Bowl and right now, but once you start getting the 40s in combine, from there on you got free agency starts on the 16th, unofficially on the 14th. On the 14th.
I got the dates.
It's March 14th through the 16th. You can start verbally agreeing.
I don't want it to happen.
No.
Yeah, the
tamper
legal tampering.
That.
So they say.
All the contracts are done. That's a joke in and of itself. Then the 16th, you can officially start doing everything, and then you roll. From the 16th to the franchise tag window is already going. That ends the 8th.
Closes March 8th. It was open from February 22nd to March 8th.
That's already news in and of itself. There hasn't been a single tag that I've seen, so that's still something that you get to watch. Most teams run that up till the 8th, so that keeps you, wanting.
Did Lamar get the tag? Did Lamar Jackson get the tag? Not to interrupt. No, I just read a tweet today that said if he got it, it'd be. I saw Ian Rappaport
say, maybe Baltimore potentially might have him for 3 more years if you let him play on the 5th year and then you tag him twice.
That's what I was saying. 2025.
You could,
and the same.
You could technically get him.
Same with Kyler Murray.
3 more years without extending.
Kyler Murray, because Kyler's doing all his whiny, garbage, and his agents putting out statements.
Jesus, that is embarrassing.
Well, the thing with Kyler, right? This was only year 3 for Kyler, wasn't it? He's technically a year before getting to the point of
He's trying to get his bag before he has to.
The organization has, they decide whether they pick him up for the 5th-year option. They don't have to designate
that's the thing. That's the thing with NFL players. They're not understanding. No offense to them. You're not NBA players. You have no leverage over the franchise almost at all. You dropping that letter is them just going to look at you worse. And then they may ship you off, cool. But if they don't want to, you're not going to sit out a whole season. You can say you are, and Le'Veon Bell did. But at the same time, as a quarterback, he's a depreciating asset as it is. And that's why Le'Veon, mostly after your last performance, Le'Veon went to the Jets. That's the only team that would sign him. That putrid dog water franchise, the Jets, was the only one that would sign him. So that's what happens.
Yeah.
I actually think it's funny, if you don't mind, Landon. I think they actually have more power than NBA guys on their rookie deals because of the new incentive for quarterbacks. The new rookie max extensions now. You can't get the same money. You're talking about losing a ton of money if you go to another team. The NBA retweaked the Supermax, and the idea was to get more Giannis's of the world. Yeah, they like to keep guys on their own roster. You'll see every rookie that's max eligible. They never forego it. Zion is the first guy that's actually being talked about as foregoing that extension, maybe going to arbitration and then bouncing and taking $80 million less, and maybe hopefully he makes it up in shoe deals.
We saw the Jokic deal today that's going to get signed, right? $5 for $240 million.
$240. Yeah, it's great.
That doesn't even compute. What is it? What did you say?
80 mil.
It's almost 80 a year.
That's 80 a year. So you're talking about a dude that can make $500 million on the court, not even with a sponsor, with 2 contract deals.
Yeah, no.
And
no,
when you
back to the quarterback,
nothing, bro. Just
back to the quarterback.
But it sucks for Kyler because I saw this the other day. I think there was 5 or 6 names that were extended after year 3, and over half of the list was a cautionary tale because Jared Goff and Carson Wentz were both on there, and the other 2, I think, maybe Josh Allen, and I'm assuming Mahomes got a bag after year 3. He might have been the other one. I think there was a 5th or a 6th maybe in there somewhere. But it's kind of teams are now more cautionary, looking at how recently Carson and Jared have kind of gone into the tank. And you can't afford as a franchise to be crippled with a $40 million cap hit. I'm not saying Kyler Murray is them. I anticipate him being better. But it's why would they rush the timeline when in reality, what is your other option? If you're really going to go play baseball, Kyler? Really? You're really going to go play baseball? No shot.
That's the whole...
No shot.
Yeah,
so it's we have
that may
rights.
be the only thing he's threatening because he'll get money in baseball.
Your rights. Yeah, but not quarterback money, though. I mean, if he's amazing, maybe and with the state of baseball
if he's
right
amazing.
now, good
his
luck.
His signing bonus with the A's was $9 million. He gave it all back, and his signing bonus with the Cardinals was, for the number 1 overall pick. It's
his entire
in the 30s.
deal is fully guaranteed.
To your point,
especially with the state of baseball right now. Yeah, go ahead and try me. Go ahead. You have no leverage.
To your Carson Wentz and Jared Goff point, I actually think he's on the other side of the tier list rather than the top tier. I could be crazy after that performance. I'm not saying he's bottom 15, but I think he's not on your top 5 list in the conversation.
If you're writing his checks, you want to see. How are you gonna? You can't pull this move after the performance you just had against the Rams, my man.
Imagine him having Dak's contract and having the performance he just had in the playoffs.
That's what I'm saying. He's getting slaughtered.
And he thinks he's the scapegoat right now. I didn't hear him talked about once on national television.
No.
It was just about how good the Rams were.
Yeah,
he would get slammed if he had that contract. Period.
Yeah.
He'd get slammed.
Well,
You want to be a scapegoat, get that contract.
Speaking of which, this hasn't been talked about yet on this podcast either, but we talked about baseball with Kyler. Now, if that in the rare, which I'll explain if I need to, why the baseball thing is not a factor to begin with, because I don't believe contractually they can get that money back from his signing bonus. So then he would be essentially designating himself to being no longer franchise quarterback, playing minor league baseball with no signing bonus for, a couple thousand. I'm sure there's there would be some sort of negotiation tactic the agent can use between he and organization. They would figure out something, right? Maybe. But let's not forget, fellas, baseball doesn't exist right now.
Saying.
At least not in the big leagues. So
there is no big leagues.
If that's your angle, If that's your angle, you picking the wrong sport to threaten.
And I'm not comparing the two. But Tim Tebow tried it. I know Kyler is a established baseball player, college, all that. But they're going to make you prove yourself almost more than the nth degree than the other guy on the roster because you're already a big name. They're going to make sure you are a legit, not even a good pro that could just be on a roster. You got to be a starter caliber player for an MLB roster to even get a shot. So it's one of those things that I think would be a difficult road for him to take.
Yeah, he's
okay. And then one last point: if Kyler was a pitcher, like most of these other quarterbacks are when they two-way sport, like Brandon Weeden or Patrick Mahomes or Colin Kaepernick or whatever, that's one thing, bro. There's not a timing element necessarily that requires you to stay on top of your game and be precise, pinpoint precise with muscle memory. Timing, all that stuff. And the single most difficult thing to do in all of sports, hit a major league fastball.
Bro, he's 70 at the batting cages.
Yo, cages with
Kyler
fast. Like 70's coming, bro. Like Jesus.
It surprises you big time, right? And it's not necessarily because of how fast it is, it's because your body's not used to it. So that gets perfectly my point. Kyler steps into the box, bro. Somebody's throwing 95. He's not going to touch it for, at least, I don't know, squaring up a guy that's throwing something on top of just a four-seam fastball, something that's moving, adding in sinkers, sliders, cutters, changeups, all that stuff. His timing would be obliterated.
Being a supreme athlete and having supreme confidence, but there's no way in your heart of hearts you think you have any chance of walking straight onto a diamond and all of a sudden being a top-end MLB player. Like, there's no way.
And also the thing
now, if he threw 95 off the bump, yes, I can see it. But hitting is a different
people
story.
Try to compare this whole like Bo Jackson, Michael Jordan thing. The thing is, bro, those are generational, like the biggest athlete at their time, so they're gonna get the chance to do it. When you're Kyler Murray, no offense, bro, if you go play baseball, you're just they're not going to talk about you.
You might
and
end
then
up
your stat lines,
twice.
Your stat line's going to pop up on the ticker once in a while. They'll talk about you for a minute and a half, talking about how you're going to regret it or you're doing well, see what happens. But that's about it, man.
And they'll bring you up for some local ticket sales, and you might get a couple more people in the stands.
Yes,
with, a bottom tier roster.
That's it. Yeah, it's all just a sales.
Like they're gonna flash your 228 batting average in Double-A, and it's gonna be like that's the end of the story, bro. Like there's nothing to talk about here. Just go play quarterback, brother. And Bo, to your point, Sans, like I think he's closer to the top than the bottom, but like that list is ever so fluid, man. Like that.
But I'm saying, though,
if you
he's
were
not in your top 5 list
over
where
the
it's
past
an
8-person
conversation.
Right. Like the top 12 changes every year pretty significantly outside of like the top 3.
Absolutely.
4, like whatever. Like there's guys right now, and
4 through 12 is fluid.
I'm not one of them. Like there's guys right now who like they think Lamar's a bum. Like they're like 40. You can't pay Lamar Jackson like $40 million. And I'm like, that's an MVP by 24, bro. Like if he's not good enough, then who is Kyler Murray? What have you done?
And they make the playoffs if he's healthy. Right. I'm sorry, they do. I know.
No, they walk into the playoffs. If that roster's healthy.
Yeah.
My question to those idiots is this is, bro. Oh my God, this
is
about
it forever.
This is a passion of mine. What do you propose, genius? Is your next best alternative if you don't want to pay Lamar Jackson?
That's what I'm.
Tyler Huntley. Okay, maybe that's a bad example, probably.
Flashes,
but for the Cowboys,
that's their backup. That's who they would pay, or they're going to go get Jimmy G. Like, what are they going to do?
Well, but what I'm saying is Tyler Huntley actually in a small sample size has looked really, really damn
daily
good.
Fantasy, Tyler Huntley, bro.
Yeah,
he was balling.
Yeah,
to your point, Landon. Like
he's not Lamar.
But what's your next alternative, man?
Like,
that's what you're
good luck finding a franchise guy.
You're going to look like the Bucks right now.
Again,
you're literally going to look like the Bucks. You have a talented core of talent. On defense, when healthy, on offense, without the quarterback, you're almost stuck. You're just going, okay, if we go 9-7, we have a good season with no quarterback, and we got Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, maybe. We got one of the best O-lines. Well, now they're all gone. I don't even know what I'm talking about. They're all gone. But then one of the best defenses in the league. And then you just look at it like we have a good roster, but without that quarterback, you're really nothing.
No,
you're nothing.
I think.
Absolutely, that's the reality, and that's the leverage that Kyler's holding. That's all. It's really all it is. But again, it's a year
point,
too early,
like,
and maybe a bit out of touch.
I don't. You know, if I'm the franchise, I'm not paying him. Let me be clear, not yet. But if I'm him, I don't blame it. I don't blame him because I think the thing that Tom Brady did, I don't think we've really seen QB movement. I know a lot of quarterbacks aren't actually getting moved, but the offers being made and the curiosity. What's Deshaun Watson?
The potential.
What's Russ doing? Is Russ coming to, name your place? Washington, Philly. Can we pry off?
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers to Denver. Like Tom Brady made it so evidently clear when you simply pluck a subpar quarterback off of a fully made team. Now, not every team is as talented as Tampa, but like it goes to show you. All they did essentially was swap Jameis and Tom Brady, and they won.
No, that's
they won
literally what
chip.
Literally.
And so now
that's literally what they
Tom
did.
Brady did that, these teams weren't willing to trade 3-1s to go get a guy because I think the overall message is we have to get young talent, and you do need your contracts can't all be bloated to the point where you're the Rams. At some point doomsday is going to come, but teams aren't as talented as the Rams. Everyone's like, should Dallas? I hear this a ton on local Dallas radio. Should the Cowboys borrow the Rams' spending methods? And
Oh my God.
No, like do y'all realize how
You're gonna find three All Pro or three Hall of
like
Famers
the best player
at,
ever at his position,
multiple
the
different.
number one cornerback in the NFL. And what people don't fail to realize, the Rams were. I don't want to play what ifs, but they were a final 2-minute drive away from losing to the Bengals, a team with everybody on a rookie contract with no offensive line.
Started 29th in
They
the power
almost
rankings.
gave up
a couple coins to flip the right way.
3-possession lead to the Bucks.
Yes, like that
in
that
6
game was
minutes.
like congrats, it worked. But
I won $300 on that game, by the way, because I picked the Bucks to cover in the second half, which they did.
More
This
than
was
did,
insane.
It's just funny to me that all these teams think they can go in on this all-in method, but Tom Brady really he really kind of drove it home that if you feel like you have a set roster, and now you're talking about dropping an elite quarterback in there, anyone from the top 8, 9, 10, because
you're
there's
good.
a bunch of good quarterbacks in the league right now. You got a shot.
Oh
shot
shit!
now.
Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah, man, that position is powerful. And again, that just so exactly what you guys are speaking of, the weight that it carries is the same exact reason why you pay a guy if you even remotely think that he's got the potential to be inside that top 10 or whatever, right? It's just like, they don't grow on trees, bro, and you can't measure what's in here.
And before we get out of here,
so
I'll say this before we get out of here because we're already almost at an hour and a half. I would say this. I think that this whole scapegoat has become an insecurity for Kyler. And it kind of made him drop the letter, leak the reports, delete them on social media, and he's playing his hand to me a little too early. And I think it just became an insecurity, something that was literally eating him alive, that he played bad in that game. And I think he looks at himself as the scapegoat. And when you think people are talking about you and they may be talking about what they had for lunch, you're going to look at those people different, like, oh, no, they're talking about me. They said nothing bad about you. I think he's just in his own head about what happened.
Because I think he's never lost. Like, y'all know his high school career.
He's the greatest high school player in Texas ever, probably. Like he was insane.
Ever. He's a first-round draft pick in 2 sports, bro. It's insane. People don't
lose, bro. Like, the guy, he never lost a game at Allen? Or
I think he lost one.
52-0, I believe.
Okay.
Was it one? He won 3 state championships.
I don't think he ever lost a game at Allen. Then he goes to A&M, and he wants to be a 2-sport player. And I don't know, Kevin Sumlin nixes that, and he transfers out of A&M and goes to OU. And essentially comes out of nowhere from that to Heisman contention to number 1 overall pick. Like, the guy has been a baller his entire life.
Yeah, and
then when
now
you get to that level, and there's professionals everywhere. You can't win the damn thing
So-
by yourself. And so maybe rightfully he feels like a scapegoat. Like, I didn't have D-Hop. J.J. Watt's out. Like, we're clearly against a much superior team, the Rams. Our passing attack is kind of flawed because you're kind of asking me to be Mr. Backyard Football and run around and make shit happen, and I really don't think that's a formula for winning a chip. So I kind of get where Kyler's coming from 100%. To drive home the point, I'm not paying him if I'm the franchise, but I've got
the ultimate team sport, man. That's what it is, and again, you actually you're LeBron in that picture when him and D Wade are throwing the oop to each other, right? You're LeBron. You just toss me that oop because bringing it home, I just D-Wade yacked it, or I'm about to, is the whole point that you just made about his life. He's never had to overcome adversity. And I texted you guys last night after watching the greatest episode of television I've ever seen in my life, because it's of what sport means to me and us and as friends and our lives and stuff. But I realized listening to LeBron and Drake, I didn't even know I was going to get into this, but here we go.
Free promo, the shop.
All highly successful individuals have one similar quality that they all share, and it's the way that they handle failure.
No doubt.
And that is it. Okay, I'm self-proclaimed sports psychology guy. The more I'm on here, and the more you guys will probably hear that, but it's big time to me because I'm starting to learn things through trial and error on my own, and so it resonates deeper. But if you watch Kyler, turn the tape on, go back. I've got the all-22 film. I can pull clips and I can show y'all. Watch the body language.
Terrible,
So it's personal to me. Chris knows this because I had him on my fantasy team, and I had a combined 11 points through 4 weeks because of that dude, because of Kyler. Now, his injury wasn't his fault, but
personal in a hurry.
Personal. So all that to say this, I paid very close attention to everything I saw. He is the franchise quarterback of my team in a $400 fantasy league with you two and 10 other of our degenerate friends. It's personal. It's big, right? So we know everything. This is what we do, man. I'm watching the body language of Kyler Murray. I'm telling you guys, he's a broken individual right now as an athlete, because when things aren't going his way, he knows what he expects of himself because that's all he's ever tasted. But he hasn't had to. He's still young, man. He's gonna figure it out. I think. I believe that. I really do. But right now, he doesn't have the ability to overcome adversity to be the quarterback that he expects himself to be in a league where failure isn't.
To highlight that point, I don't know if you saw that that clip where he threw an interception and he went to the bench and Colt McCoy was over there and he goes, "I wanted to play turnover-free football." Like he literally is having a hissy fit over himself throwing a pick. Like he's really head down. It was like the second quarter of the game, and they're up by 7 or 14, and he's having a hissy.
That play's not going to matter.
He's having a hissy fit, and Colt McCoy is like laughing at him, like, "Bro, what is wrong with you? Like, calm down. Like, it ain't that big of a deal, bro. Like, you're amazing. Chill out." It's just one of them things that's mental. So, Colt McCoy balled out this year, by the way.
He did. He did hold the fort. Cole played well.
He did.
Yeah, just all that kind of ties back into what Sam said earlier about the media and fans and everybody kind of calling it championship or bust. You know, it's like same thing with Bron in the NBA. How many future Hall of Famers has LeBron James denied a ring? How many did Michael Jordan deny a ring? How many did Tom Brady deny a ring? Like, at the end of every single year, man, this is the hardest thing to remember. If the Rams lost to the Bengals, per se, I know we're playing what ifs, but they would feel like they failed. But there's only one single team and fan base and franchise at the top every single year, and everybody else goes into the offseason with holes and how they can get better, man. Like there's only one at the end of every year. Like
only one team doesn't lose their last game of the season.
You're like you're 4 years into your career and you're a failure. If you're 3 years if you're Kyle Murray because you haven't won, whatever, a playoff game or a ring. The guy's 3 years in, man. Like, this stuff takes time. Not everybody's going to be a Pat Mahomes and throw for 50 tugs in his first year starting. You know what I mean? And get to an AFC chip and then win a Super Bowl the next year. Like, we expect so much of these guys when in reality, you'll look at a talk show today and 7 quarterbacks in a row will get killed for not winning at all. When like only one of them can do it, bro. Like, it's so much deeper than one guy, especially in the ultimate team sport. You've all got to come together, man. And Kyler, I know I'm not telling him not to. He's going to get paid eventually. But just ask, Landon, or more personal, Dak Prescott, what it's like when you go from, oh, my God, this is incredible. We never expected Dak Prescott to turn into anything. 13-3 as a rookie, gets a bye, number 1 seed. And now you're the $40 million man. And now people expect you to single-handedly take every single flaw in the organization, put it on your back, and they want you to do it all yourself. And if not, you're not looked at the same. So with that paycheck comes greater responsibility. He obviously knows that, but it also brings more criticism, which he doesn't seem very apt to taking. Right.
To handle.
So
Grant,
I think
great point, bro.
there's a lot more that goes into it, my man. So, I'm never going to speak on another man's money, but there's going to be a lot more that comes with it than you've already been dealing with. So,
I also think that
fair.
it's funny he released a letter and they extended his coach and the GM like 4 days later.
I did think that was like through 2027 also.
Yeah,
I just
it's
thought
like
that was funny.
Wait, I missed that. I didn't even see that happen.
Steve Keim, I think, got extended.
Through got an extension.
And
literally
Murray,
3 days after he dropped the letter.
and Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury share an agent, so I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah,
I thought that was really interesting.
I think that's funny.
So,
he's like, "You want to be the scapegoat? Okay, we'll extend these guys. They
will
both
extend the coach." Yeah,
I
did think that was funny.
Wow, boys, this was fun, man. No conclusion even necessary. No awkward dismount, man. We can call it quits after that.
Pick you back next week.
Episode 2 of Spittin' Sports with the boys.
Appreciate
fun.
y'all
Thank
listening,
you.
man.
Thank y'all for listening,
All right,
man.
boys.
Y'all have a good one.